They call it paradise, but no one talks about this side of the Maldives. Everyone's seen the photos, the crystal clear water, the floating bungalows, the perfect sunsets. The Maldives has been hyped up as the ultimate dream vacation. But is it really all sunshine and cocktails? I just got back from a trip there, and what I saw wasn't exactly what the brochures promised. So if you've ever thought about booking a trip to the Maldives, this might be the video that changes your mind, or confirms everything you've dreamed of. Here's the thing. Most travel influencers show you the same shots: infinity pools, luxury breakfasts on the beach, drone views of turquoise waters. And yeah, all of that exists, it's real, but it's not the full story. Because behind those Instagram perfect posts, there's another reality. A more complex one that tourists rarely talk about. And it made me start asking, is the Maldives really a tropical heaven, or is there more we're not seeing? Let's start with the obvious, the good stuff. Because yes, there is a reason people are obsessed with the Maldives. First off, the water is honestly unreal. I've been to a lot of beaches, but this one hit different. Imagine stepping into the ocean and seeing straight through it like glass. You can literally spot fish swimming under your feet while standing waist deep. The beaches, soft white sand that doesn't burn your feet, the sunsets like someone turned up the saturation on real life. You get these wild blends of orange, pink, purple every night. It felt like nature showing off. And the resorts? They're basically floating 5-star hotels. Some of them have underwater restaurants where you can eat dinner while stingrays glide by. Others offer personal butlers, private plunge pools, and even overwater hammocks. But, and this is a big but, once I stepped out of the resort bubble, everything changed. I took a trip to one of the local islands, and suddenly it didn't feel like the glossy paradise anymore. It felt real, and raw, and kind of eye-opening. The streets were narrow, lined with scooters and small shops. Kids were playing barefoot, and women were wearing traditional dresses, not bikinis. It hit me that the Maldives isn't just a playground for the rich, it's someone's home. And here's where it got uncomfortable. While tourists are paying thousands per night to sleep in overwater villas, many of the locals are struggling to make ends meet. Tourism is their main source of income, but most of the profits go to foreign-owned resorts. The gap between luxury and reality is massive. I spoke to one local guy, let's call him Ahmed. He works as a waiter at a high-end resort. He told me that guests sometimes tip him more in a week than he makes in a whole month. But even then, he's not bitter. He's proud to represent his country. Still, the contrast was hard to ignore. Then there's the environmental stuff. When you're flying in, you see these little dots of islands scattered across endless blue. It looks peaceful, but those islands are disappearing, literally. The Maldives is the lowest-lying country in the world. Most of its land is just 1.5 meters above sea level. That means rising oceans aren't some future problem, they're happening right now. Whole islands have already had to evacuate because of flooding. And while the government is trying to push sustainability, like building artificial islands and banning single-use plastics, the pressure from mass tourism is intense. Overfishing, coral bleaching, plastic waste from tourists, it all adds up. I went snorkeling in one spot that was supposed to be vibrant and full of life, but all I saw were dead corals and a couple of sad-looking fish. The water was still pretty, but the ecosystem, not so much. Then there's the culture clash. Tourism and tradition don't always mix smoothly. The Maldives is a Muslim country, which means public modesty, no alcohol on local islands, and strict cultural customs. But many tourists come expecting to party, drink, and do whatever they want. That creates tension. Some locals feel like they're losing their culture, others are just trying to adapt and survive. It's a complicated mix of pride and pressure. I met a young woman who said she loves her country, but she sometimes feels like a stranger in her own village when tourists flood in. That hit me. At the same time, not everything was negative. There are some amazing efforts happening behind the scenes. I visited a small eco-resort on a local island, run entirely by locals. They had solar panels, composting systems, and a reef restoration project where they plant coral fragments to help rebuild the marine life. They were passionate, educated, and super inspiring. It made me realize that tourism can help, if it's done right. The Maldives government has also set up marine protected areas to prevent overfishing, and there are now more eco-certified resorts than ever. They're slowly trying to shift the focus from luxury at all costs to sustainability and balance. Still, the road is long. Most tourists don't even know about these efforts because the glossy resort marketing doesn't talk about it. And honestly, when you're sipping cocktails on a floating villa, it's easy to forget there's an entire country behind the curtain making that dream happen. So here's the big question I had to ask myself: can a place be paradise if its people are struggling and its nature is under threat? It made me think hard. Because yes, the Maldives is beautiful, that part is true, but paradise isn't just about pretty views, it's about harmony, respect, sustainability, and right now the Maldives is standing at a crossroads. They can either keep chasing luxury and risk losing everything that makes the island special, or they can build a new version of paradise, one that includes everyone and protects the future. As travelers, we're part of that choice too. So, is the Maldives really a tropical heaven on Earth? The answer is yes and no. It's jaw-droppingly beautiful. It feels like another world. But it's also a place with real people, real problems, and a real future that hangs in the balance. If you're thinking of visiting, go, but go with open eyes. Stay at places that support the local economy. Be mindful of your impact. Learn the culture. Tip fairly. Use reef-safe sunscreen. Pick up your trash. Choose sustainability over selfies. Because paradise doesn't exist in a bubble. It's something we build together. Subscribe if you want honest travel videos that don't sugarcoat paradise.